Call Marshall County Fiscal Court to order May 3rd, 2016. Get right to it. I'm just going to read. We had an announcement last week regarding Champion Homes. I'm just going to read this. Congratulations to the Marshall County Fiscal Court. The recent announcement of Champion Homes to be located in Benton. Champion anticipates employing approximately 150 employees and will start the hiring process very soon. Human Resources representatives with Champion's corporate office visited last week. They plan to hold a job fair for those seeking employment on June 1st and June 2nd at the Joe Creason Community Center from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on both days. Advertisements should be in the paper very soon. Please join me in welcome Champion Homes to our community. And again, thank you for your commitment to economic development in Marshall County. That's great news. So if you know anybody, give them that information so that they can go to those events. We're going to start with, on the agenda under guests, I've asked Paul Cloud, Engineering, I've asked Paul Cloud to come today. I've got some questions. It's going to be regarding the sanitation sanitation number 1 in Aurora, the project that started back in 2012, I believe. There were some invoices that was submitted to the Fiscal Court, and I've got some questions. I know I've talked to the commissioners, and we just need some answers. And I think, briefly, Paul, if you want to come up. We talked briefly this morning, and it clears up a little bit of some of the concerns I have or questions I have. The invoice, just to give a little background that I can see, in 2012, there was a project that was started at sanitation number 1 in Aurora. We've got $300,000 grant to Delta Regional Authority, and there was a match of about $230,000 that the Fiscal Court was to help with that project. Now that matching money, the board, the Sanitation District Board, actually voted on that, but the matching money was we never got it. So the invoice that was submitted to us, there's some confusion because there was additional monies later. I think $630,000 was determined to fix the overall plant.
That's correct.
The concern I have is I know the board didn't vote on that. When I say the board, the waste treatment plant board, sanitation number 1 board, I spoke with them. They didn't vote on that, and I don't recall the Fiscal Court, the minutes that I looked through, ever voting on that. So I know we briefly talked about that this morning, and I know some of this information you're unaware of.
Correct.
So I just want to make that clear. The reason why I've got you here today is just I've got questions. I think some of the commissioners may have questions that we just want some clarification on. Sure. Without reading the invoice that was submitted, my biggest concern is that the original plan, the original assessment, if this invoice involves additional monies, I've read the grant documents. If there's any additional monies, there's things that we have to do as a Fiscal Court in notifying Delta Regional Authority. And obviously there were additional monies that were identified at some point. So submitting a invoice to Delta Regional Authority, drawn against that grant, I've got concerns if we can do that. And I know you can't answer that, but can you just explain
I can
briefly
give you
what
sure.
you know as far as how the scope of the project changed?
What happened early on, I was asked to come out and look and do a report as to what I thought would be the best way to spend money to get the system up in shape. You know, it's like most small communities. It's not in good condition. There's not a very good customer base. So we went out, we did a letter where we just did a brief overview and identified things that we could do to the plant to, there were 7 or 8 things, I think, on the list there that we did. And with the wastewater treatment plant being the most urgent one, then the lift stations, and there was a priority that we gave all of those. At that time, it was sometime later, I was notified that there was a grant for the $300,000 that they had, and there was, they had advertised then for engineering services, for engineering qualifications. We sent that in, and we were given the job to start going and looking at it. As we got into it and looking at the plant, because that was our major concentration, we realized just in how bad a shape it was. And the more we looked, if anyone's been out to, any of the commissioners or has been out to look at it, it's in sad shape. We talked with numerous vendors as to what we could do to right the ship for the money that we had, and it just wasn't a good way to do that. So during that, at some point in there, it was determined that they were going to try to get another grant, and they had looked, the first one was through KIA, I think, and I'm not sure on that, but the second one, they tried to go back to KIA, and my understanding is at that time, KIA wasn't doing it or their interest rates weren't good, so they went to USDA to try to get the money. And it was for $630,000, basically, it was going to be to fix the plant. In the meantime, we was going to take the original $300,000 and do the lift stations. And there was quite a bit of back and forth with the district out there as how that would be the best way to do. And so we finally decided that they wanted us to do all the work, bid everything, and this was the end of July of 2015. So we came back, we did plans where they could go out for bids, and we did that in early December. We got back one bid on it, and it was rejected. It was over our budget. It was rejected to do the full project. We rebid it, and they came back at the end of January. That time there were 3 bids, and they were over budget, and those were all rejected. So this invoice that's in question here, this last invoice, was for everything that's on the original grant. There was, at some point, the $630,000 grant, whenever we started having, there was issues developing at the Sanitation District 2 in Draftonville. There was discussion about making it all one big project, and basically that just got put on hold.
Right, but there was you didn't do any work for sanitation number 2. Okay,
No.
I just want.
Like I said, I did a preliminary plan just to show
Right.
how it could lay out, but it was no charge for that. It was
Okay. One of the other things that I had a question about, the original assessment was $530,000. I think that was a $300,000 grant with $230,000 matching, and that was for the waste treatment plant and the lift stations.
Yeah, I never knew that there was a $230,000 component.
Right. But we did. So that was, when you say the total project for the first project, it sounds like there was a second project with the $630,000.
That never really materialized.
Was that $630,000 for the waste treatment plant?
Yes.
Okay. So the $234,000 that was the original assessment, was that to be combined into the $290,000?
No, we was going to use it for the lift stations then. That was like number 2 on the list of priorities. We just dropped down the level of priorities when we realized we couldn't do the wastewater treatment plant, which was the number 1 priority for the money that we had. Then we dropped down to the next priorities to start doing the lift stations. They have a tremendous inflow, water getting in their system every time it rains, and it washes it out.
Okay, just so that I'm clear, because all the documentation that I have is on the original project. The original project was for $530,000. $290,000 was for the lift stations. So when I read your invoice, the summary that you gave me, the bids that came in were over. You say that they were too high. The original quote or the assessment was for $290,000. I think the first bid came in at $260,000, which if it were by the first assessment, it would be under. So how much monies out of that 530 were to be put to the lift stations?
I don't recall offhand. I would have to go back and pull the documents. I didn't bring that with me.
Okay. So I mean, that's,
Once again, I never knew we had 530,000. I thought we were working with a $300,000
with 300,000.
grant. Of that, engineering come out of it, everything came out of the grant money.
Right.
This is news to me. They had 530.
Okay.
I don't think they ever had 530.
They did. Yeah,
That was the Delta Regional grant of $300,000 was contingent on the finding other $230,000.
I don't know about it.
And I asked that, I was wondering, Paul, was that ever bid? I know we rejected, since I've been here, we rejected those bids two different times.
Those were the only two.
It was in 2011, that Delta Regional grant of $300,000, which I think there's $274,000 left in there, but that was signed in 2012.
Probably, it was late.
Was
11.
it bid, that project bid out any time?
No.
It wasn't that time? I mean, I know I asked Bobby when he was here about the preparation, and I'm sure that you all went through the same steps that the potential bidders would, or the bidders would, that you'll call the subcontractors and get an estimate of how much it's going to cost, and it was estimated at $190,000 for to repair those lift stations, and I asked the question, when it came in at $262,000, and he said, well, you've got to realize that that was back in 2012 numbers, and I just wondered why we go from 2012 to, last December before we even bid the project, and we've got the Delta Regional, $300,000 in hand, and not a whole lot's getting done.
A whole
I just
lot.
didn't know why
I may
I
be
know
able to answer that better than Paul. I just know the way I understood it, you needed the matching funds in order to do the project. Whether Paul understood that or not, I don't know, but you needed these matching funds to do the project. And at the time, what happened between 12 and when they bid the project was that there was a negotiation between the Kentucky Department of Parks. And that drug on before they would agree that they would provide payment for that debt service. And once they did, then the project was bid. And they're still in agreement to provide that. Now, the scope of the project, I don't know all that other, but I do know that gap was basically what was happening, because I can remember the frustration of getting them to agree. They're by far the largest user. Plant was turned over from them to the Aurora and they were able to add those businesses up there, but that's years ago is when that happened, and
Right.
basically those small units, just like Paul said, are very difficult to keep enough funding to keep them viable. It's just
Right.
almost impossible.
But the other thing is that the board voted on that matching loan, and the fiscal court was to consume that loan. The contract with the state park was just to help. I think that additional monies would help. But as far as this invoice, I want to make sure that we're doing it right, that we don't submit. It sounds like to me there's two projects. One project that was approved, another one that was just discussed, maybe, and I don't know if, I know I've talked to you, you don't know some of the information, but this $630,000, I can't find any documentation to show where either the waste treatment district approved it. They say they didn't. I don't see us approving it.
That may be true. I don't remember exactly.
I don't know that
part
it
of the
ever was
project.
actually submitted.
Right.
USD, I think, it may have been preliminary.
There's a lot of talk, but it never happened. But for me, getting an invoice, and that's why I asked for a detailed invoice, so that I'm not submitting something to the feds that have the monies on here for another project that's not approved. So that's,
No,
there's
it
some.
does not invoice. It's all for the original
Well,
project.
right, and 22 hours of professional engineering, I don't know what that is. I've got your summary, but your summary states another project. So that's why, if you can go back and just give the court
Sure, I can give you
a
that.
detailed
'Cause this was
invoice.
basically from end of July through the end of January, and that was when we were, at that point, we decided that we were going to just do the lift stations and try to do as much of that as we could, and that's what that invoice is basically covers.
So this covers the entire, all this covers the lift station, rehabilitation of the lift station. Okay. If you can just get me a detailed invoice, because your summary is conflicting, and I want to make sure that we get
I will
it straight.
clarify it so that it is,
Okay.
and basically, what caused the confusion was that when we got into it and the original plant was in such bad shape, we knew we was going to have more money.
Sure. And I agree with you, it is. It needs to be rehabilitated. I know Bob's been out there, I've been out there, and I've seen photos of it. We all agree that it needs to be rehabilitated. But I think the process and how we do that, we need to straighten that out. And I know Brian Flynn is out there trying to get a total assessment of it for us. Do y'all have any other questions? The other concern I have with this invoice is that it's for work that started in July. So there was a long period of time, and then the invoice was given to us. And obviously, there's late fees that are associated with this.
Eliminate those, that's not a problem.
I think that with the scope of what I've found as far as two projects and trying to get this straightened out, I think you and I may have to sit down and talk a little bit later.
Sure.
But we're going to definitely have to talk about that because I want to make sure that we do it right. And I appreciate you coming here today
No,
because there's a
it's-
lot of information that we just didn't have. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I think that was it. That the invoice is for the original project. We just couldn't do the lift we couldn't do the plant, so we switched to priority number 2, and it was the lift stations.
Okay.
Bob, when was the project, you said the state project, that's been done, or the deal with the state, and the monies in,
That was October of 2013.
so it's been some time.
Right.
That's been about when that project started, so it's been in place. I didn't get the significance of the date, and okay, it's been in place for
For a while.
3 years, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Well, I'll get with Paul when you get me that detailed
Okay,
invoice,
we'll do
and then
that.
I'll get back with the commissioners, and we'll make a decision on that.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Just a note, I mean, it does sound like there's two projects, and one of the projects, there's,
I think it turned into two projects, basically.
and we've got the official documents that I have, I think that's what we go by, because obviously that's all we got from Delta Regional and the original contract, but right now, that's what governs how we spend the money. The additional project, I'm sure that when they come back, Brian, when he comes back, he's going to tell us what the bigger scope of the project's going to be, and then from there, we'll look at proper documentation to go into.
I assume that all the $76,000 that's not in the 300,000, that we've used in the $300,000 grant with no lift stations and no projects completed or even started, is that engineering studies? And is that figure comparable with the engineering studies on a $300,000 project? Do you spend $100,000 engineering and
Isn't that part of pumps?
The engineering,
Pumps?
The 27,000, I think, is roughly for engineering, total assessed on the original project. We're not going to talk about the 630 because nobody's approved that, so we'll just stick with the original project, 530,000, which we only have 300,000. Currently, $224,000. 27,000 of that has been spent on engineering. It was assessed for, I think, 45,000 for engineering. The pumps that were purchased for the lift stations. So that gives you roughly your $76,000 of the $300,000.
In upgrading those pumps, though, the bid was, or the estimate that we had done, or the court had done, Water Vision 2020 had done, was for $190,000 back then. Would some of that $76,000 been used to purchase pumps if $27,000 was engineering? Was it still that much over? I just can't understand why that, they did the same thing. They called the subcontractors and, to make their educated guess, the same thing the contractors, when they bid, they call the same people, the paperwork I have. And
The only thing that I have seen is the assessment for the lift stations, complete rehabilitation of the lift station was for $290,000. The first bid that came in was $260,000, so it was below the assessment. Now it may be he's saying in his summary that the bid that came in exceeded. Well, if 260 exceeded. From the original assessment, it was $290,000, so it would have been below. And that's why I was asking, the total assessment was $530,000. How much of the money from the waste treatment plant, the original $234,000, was to be applied to the lift stations? And that
There was a point where they bid out rehabilitating 5 lift stations. They got a bid back, and it wasn't, it was over the 290, and the only way they could get it within the bid was to just rehabilitate 4 of the lift stations. That's what was
Right, and I
presented to
think-
us here in court.
I think that's the 260, because the 4 lift stations was $198,000. Then we denied it. They came back, had 3 bids, and the original contractor was still below the 290. Everyone else was above, I believe. But either way, we didn't have the money. We had $224,000.
keep saying 290, wasn't it 190? The bid, I believe the bid came in at 260,000, and their estimate was, what we had budgeted was 190,000, and they agreed to do the same. Luttrell in Allegany, Kentucky, that contractor negotiated, or we were told they was negotiated, and he came back and he was going to refurnish 4 of the 5 lift stations for 196,000, a little bit over what, and we rejected because this wasn't the
Right.
5. You're just, which one are you not going to do of the projects, and the Delta Regional Grant, what they gave us from 2012 to 2000, gave us 14 months to complete that project, and that's long gone.
Well, the original assessment, $530,000, even if it's $198,000, we do 4 lift stations. We still have the waste treatment plant that we need to rehabilitate, and then we'll have an additional
It's not the
1
only
lift
problem.
station. So, I mean, it's but for me, and I know y'all understand this, submitting to DRA, the invoices to make sure that we've got, in this invoice, it is confusing because his summary basically looks, the way you read it, is that there was some work performed for that $630,000 project. So that's why we asked for a detailed invoice. When he gets that to us, I'll present it to you so we can see what it is.
You've got to do that.
Anybody else got any questions on that? We're going to Michael Oliver. Is Michael here? There he is. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, members of the Fiscal Court. I'm here today to, as in years past, present the rural secondary recommendations for Marshall County. Hope everybody have a copy. I think I've got it up. But anyway, like I said, I have to come every year to present the allocation for Marshall County for the rural secondary funds and how we're planning on spending those funds. As you see up the top on the front page, this year's allocation for Marshall County is $1,269,365. There was a undistributed balance in the account last year for Marshall County, which has to stay in the county, of $149,889. So we're going to add that to it and spend it this year. The first priority, which we always put down, is maintaining of the state portion of the rural secondary roads, which is 130.004 miles. We estimate that at about $3,500 per mile, which includes everything from mowing to snow removal, potholes, pipe, anything and everything is included in that. Some years it's a little more, some years it's a little less, but anything left over will be rolled over into the next year. The second priority there is the county expenses, which is $3,862, leaving a balance for improvements of $960,378. The first priority there is the county flex funds, which Marshall County falls into the 20% bracket. So 20% of the 1.2 million is right at $253,873. So I'm sure at some point a list will have to be submitted, and then we'll go out and look at those, get an estimate together, and send those into Frankfurt so you can get that money. The next recommendation, number 4, there is for Kentucky 1836, which is Virgil Lyles Road from the Callaway County, Marshall County line to Kentucky 402. It's a distance of about 1.67 miles for about $143,000. Priority number 5 is Jackson School Road, Kentucky 2606, from the 4.3 mile marker, which is at Kentucky 58, extending to mile marker 6.1 at the 408 intersection, a total of 1.7 miles for about $151,000. The last priority is Kentucky 408, which is Agner's Ferry Road, starting at the US 641 intersection and continuing to the Elizabeth Creek Bridge, was at the 10.8 mile marker. That's a distance of about 3 miles at $412,853. I've got a map on the back which shows where these roads are at. I'm sure you're all familiar with where they're at. So I've got those depicted there. There's also some other monies for paving that may or may not come about later on this year, which are the higher priority routes, the MP routes that we call them. And then also we've got several construction projects. We've got the interchange, which will be I-69 and 348. That's continuing on. The 5th Street project, which they're relocating utilities now. That's continuing on. The intersection at I-69 and I-24, that's continuing on. We've also got two bridges out right now in Marshall County, so within the next 2 or 3 weeks, those will be fixed. We're searching for beams for those now. Got a lot of things going on, a lot of things in the pot, I guess, if you will, for this coming year. So if anybody has any questions about any other construction projects, of course, we got the big bridge. Hopefully here in about 2.5 months, we'll have that fully open to 4 lanes of traffic and everything.
What about the one over Barkley?
The one at Barkley, of course, it's not nearly as far along. It's, I guess,
But they're working it.
foundation they're working on it. We were hoping to have it complete a year later, which, if we can ever get it up out of the water, it's a whole lot. The foundation is much different over at Barkley than it was at Kentucky Lake, and so we're having some issues over there that we're working through now. But once we get it up out of the water, it'll go pretty fast. We're actually hoping to start putting the arch together over there around July. And so yeah, you'll see some big changes over there as well here pretty soon.
Have they started demolition or?
They have not. Yeah, we're working through that now. Of course, we're in bat season now, and we got swallows, and then we've got osprey season is now. So we've got some environmental issues that we're trying to work through. Of course, the contractor has to remove the old deck first, which he thinks will take 2 to 3 weeks. The bridge has already been measured and already marked for charges to be installed for dropping the old bridge. So, hopefully when we get the go-ahead from Fish and Wildlife, and then we'll, be 3 to 4 weeks, and we'll have her down. So,
Do you know off the top of your head, Michael, who the point of contact with Fish and Wildlife? I've had some people that have contacted my office in regards to that.
yeah, his name is Phil DeGarmo. I don't have his number handy with me. I can get you his number, but yeah, Phil DeGarmo is in Frankfurt, and he runs the Kentucky office of Fish and Wildlife.
You have a ballpark figure on what time frame you're looking at? Because I know they've asked us to help.
As far as dropping the old bridge, we're hoping here pretty soon. A lot of that's out of our hands as far as Fish and Wildlife's concerned. We're at their mercy right now. But we're hoping that we can get together with them and get some kind of agreement to where we can get that down sooner rather than later, hopefully here within the next 4 to 6 weeks. Like I said, it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks to get the old deck off, and then once it's off, basically we're ready to go down with it. So 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully.
Depending on the birds.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Michael. Anybody else got any questions?
Okay, yeah, I'll get that to you, yeah.
Yeah. If you can just get me his information or his
Okay.
contact, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Thank
get
you.
it to you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Appreciate it.
With that, I know I talked to Russell this morning, Moore's, they're looking at starting to pave that. I know there's been some individuals upset or had concerns with the culverts being replaced on Moore's, but they're going to start paving that here pretty soon. So that's just a process.
Getting a new road.
We're getting a new road, that's right. We'll go on to guest Laura Hammonds from the Health Department. Good morning.
So I'm here this morning to present the tax rate for the Health Department, and I provided the official document and a 16-year tax history to you all, and a projection of how we propose to use the local tax dollars, and how we used them for the past 2 years. Does everybody have those? Okay. So the board voted at the January 14th meeting to reduce the tax from 7.5 to 7.25, and that is in response to the fact that the building is built, and we are now in the process of lowering that rate back down. So are there any questions about that? Can I give you more information than I have, or?
You did a good job on supplying us with the information that you gave us.
Okay.
I think we have to approve that. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Accept it, right.
But yeah, I mean, this is good detailed information.
Okay. And then I did bring copies of the 2016 county health rankings that I can leave with you all, and I just wanted to point out, I don't know if you've heard or not, but Marshall County did improve in both health outcomes and health rankings. From 15 to 16, we moved to 10th. So that's really good news for us. We went from 26 in health outcomes and 19 in health factors to 10th. So that was a big jump in 1 year's time. So I think that's a reflection of all of our health partners working together, and it's something to be proud of for this county.
Do you know how many, just to give a bigger picture of what 10, you said out of 26?
We were 26
We were
last year.
26, okay.
Yeah, and there are, what, like 120 counties in Kentucky?
Okay, so we're at 10. That is impressive.
So I have these, I'll leave copies if you like them.
Okay.
It has the details. I don't have probably a copy for everybody, but.
I know I was at the health department, the state health department put on a meeting up in Lexington, and one of the things that they stressed was that, you know, it ties in the economic development as well, because a healthy community is what companies and businesses look for. So they want a healthy workforce, so,
We're making great strides and
yeah,
excited about that.
well, good.
So, is that all?
Anybody got any questions? All right,
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
I'll make or entertain a motion to accept.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under correspondence. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot Randy. Randy, you've got something you want to share with the court? I added him to the agenda here.
I'm easily forgotten, Judge, but thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to update you guys on a tournament we have coming up. The Kentucky High School Athletic Association is holding their state championship for bass fishing at Kentucky Dam Village on May 13th and 14th. And something a little unique this year, this is the third year we've hosted this event. And we had to do something different this year because they're getting pressure from Eastern Kentucky. The coaches in Eastern Kentucky, specifically one coach, wants them to move the entire state tournament to the eastern side of the state. And so we've actually got into a bidding war. State high school fishing is now turned into every other fishing tournament in the country now, and it takes money to get it. So with the help of the Fiscal Court, City of Calvert, the CVB, Chamber, Lodging Association, Murray State University, and FLW, we were able to raise $11,000 to secure the event. What's different is we are also putting on a little festival in conjunction with the tournament. So on that Friday and Saturday, we're going to have vendors set up at the dam, at the marina, food vendors, some retail vendors, to give the families of these fishermen something to do during the day. We are in need of volunteers. At the last volunteer meeting, of the 8 people in the room, myself and my assistant Elena were the only 2 that are going to be able to be there. And although we can handle it, it would be nice to have other volunteers there. But we're expecting 64 teams from across the state. Marshall County did qualify 1 team. And then they're also allowed to bring alternates with them. So we're expecting somewhere around 150 high school anglers. Then with coaches and boat captains, we're looking at close to 300 people, just participants, and then families. So that's going to be something good. On the 12th, that Thursday night, the registration will start at 5, and at 7:30 is their meeting, and I'd like the members of the court, if you could, to be there to help welcome the anglers to the community. On Friday and Saturday, takeoff will be at 7 a.m. out of Kentucky Dam Marina, and weigh-in each day is at 3 p.m. And the Vendor Village Fish Festival will go from 11 to 6 on Friday and Saturday. FLW is going to have their big bounce houses and all that stuff. It's going to look like a miniature version of the FLW tour event,
Yeah.
just with high school
Same
students.
location and everything.
Same location. And speaking of which, June 9th through the 12th, we actually have an FLW tour event coming to Kentucky Dam Marina. This is one of their big 5 that they hold. It's the top in FLW fishing. So we're going to have all the top names in fishing coming here for a week. And for years, they've held their weigh-ins at Walmart. We haven't made a final decision yet with FLW, but they are looking at possibly using the old beach area at Kentucky Dam Village. We've been in discussions with them about using that because it's a natural setup for their big outdoor thing they put on for families. And with our fish festival we held last year, FLW saw it and said this is the perfect location. So there is a good chance we will have all the weigh-ins at Kentucky Dam, but we will know that a little bit later. Any questions on the high school fishing? It's going to be very competitive. We would like to get them here for multi-year. I believe next year we're going to have to come up with more money because Eastern Kentucky is really getting aggressive. We even have local businesses giving discounts to these anglers just to keep them here. So we want them to have a good enough time here that they put pressure on KHSAA and say, no, we need to stay here. Because our theory is we have the best lake, we have the best fishery in the state. So you want to hold your state championship at the best possible place. That's why they have the basketball state tournament at Rupp Arena. We feel we're the Rupp Arena of lakes in the state of Kentucky, and we want to keep that championship here. And so that's what we do. And to hammer that home, to give you an idea, we have 3 months worth of fishing tournaments from January to June. A lot of local people don't understand when fishing tournaments come in, it's not cheap. 12 weeks of this first 6 months, we have actually bid to get fishing tournaments here. It's going to be $73,500 is what we're spending to get those tournaments into Marshall County. It's a competitive business, and $62,500 of that comes directly from the CVB with the help of the Fiscal Court and the City of Calvert, and other organizations that have added money. That brought that number up to $73,500. And one of them that we've all partnered with is Hobie, which is coming up. They're coming back again, and it's a kayak bass fishing tournament. Yes, they fish out of kayaks now, and it's becoming a big business. But they will be here in May. So we have all these events, as well as the coon hunt that was just in Aurora a few weeks ago, and they've already booked again for next year. And then a tournament that's here right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed a lot of boats in the area. USA Bassin is here, and they're here. They came in on April 28th, and they will not leave until May 9th. And they have over 600 teams registered for that event, those 10 days. And they're all from out of our area. Every one of them are staying overnight here. So if you see an abundance of fishing boats through this weekend, that's who it is. It's USA Bassin, and we've been dealing with them for over 10 years now, and it's something we hope to continue. But that's what I have on tournaments. Any questions?
Registration was the 12th, is that what you said?
Thursday the 12th. The actual registration starts at 5, but their meeting will start at 7:30. And that's going to be at the Convention Center at Kentucky Dam Village.
Do you need us there at 5 or 7:30?
I'll take you there anywhere, but anytime. As long as you're there to welcome them, that's great. The more people we have at this event, the more support we show this, it will show KHSAA that we need to keep it
Right.
here.
I agree.
And from talking to KHSAA, they want to keep it here, specifically because FLW is the organization that puts that tournament on for KHSAA. And FLW would rather sleep in their own beds than have to load up everything and take it across the state. So that's one of our keys too, having FLW here is going to help.
Got the paralyzed vets coming up in May too. Do you guys work with them at all?
They do not ask us for any money. To give you there's a fishing tournament every single weekend in Marshall County. Every weekend. There's not a weekend that goes by without a fishing tournament. But most of them don't come to us because they're smaller, 25 boats, 50 boats. Normally, the tournaments that come to us will have in excess of 100 boats. And we had to do that rule because our budget is limited. I have a $70,000 a year budget on fishing tournaments and events. And so I can't give to everything. I mean, there's a certain tournament series that wants to come here every year, and they ask $100,000 to come here for a 4-day event. And I have to tell them no every single year. We just can't do it. I mean, the payoff is not, the amount of exposure we're going to get for that $100,000 does not, it doesn't add up. I would much rather take and get 3 months worth of tournaments for $62,500 of our money than one tournament, $100,000. My board just feels that makes more sense to us. I know our business is like 12 weeks worth of business versus 1. So that's why we do that. But yeah, any tournament, if they come to us for help, even if we can't give money, we can do other things for them, whether it be giveaway items, things of that nature. We'll work with anybody that comes. You want to bring an event to our county, we're going to help you out somehow.
Just give me an idea on what volunteers are needed for, and I'll do whatever I can. to
We
try to
need
get-
bodies. I can get with Elena when we get back, and it's just basically manpower to be there. That's all we need. We've got people, we're going to stuff the bags and all this other stuff. We'll have it all done. We just need actual bodies present at the marina is what we need.
You'll email me that stuff, I'll see
We're-
if I can drag some bodies.
We're already in contact. What is it? The group you have, used to be the Explorers. Elena's in contact with them, so I think we've got some help with parking and stuff there. Any other questions on anything tourism related? Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you,
Appreciate it,
Randy. And
Randy.
Good job, Randy.
I understand I realized recently that you wear more than one hat and with the road signs and so forth, but I appreciate your help very much in that endeavor, and so does the business that got the signs up with your help rather quickly.
I'm actually in the process of doing it once again for another business.
Good deal. Keep doing it. Appreciate it.
Let's see, under correspondence, Mediacom announcement. I'll just briefly go over this. Mediacom has made an announcement. They're going to do a $1 billion capital investment plan that will help fund a number of important customer initiatives over the next 3 years. Just to give you an idea of the project, the wide-scale deployment of 1 gigabyte per second broadband service to virtually all of the 3 million homes and businesses located within their 22-state footprint. Expansion of the Mediacom business fiber network, extension of the residential video, internet, and phone network to pass an additional 50,000 homes, and the launch of community Wi-Fi throughout commercial areas across the nation's footprint. They also made an announcement on some channels. Mediacom is happy to announce that on or around April 30th, 2016, they'll move, well, this has already occurred, they'll move Hallmark Movies and Mysteries SD and HD channel from the movies and music package to digital family cable. That's just some correspondence with them. Under correspondence, court facilities, local government reimbursement for 2017. This is from the Administrative Office of the Courts. This just tells us what their reimbursement amount will be for the fiscal year 2017. Estimated annual reimbursement to the county, $335,330. And that's the amount. I know we've had our budget workshop, and we've already discussed that and applied that to the budget.
How does that compare to what we received last year?
It's up a little bit.
What's a little bit?
About 30,000,
How much?
about 30. And that's due to the drug court being located down in the basement, probably.
Additional space, you mean?
Yeah, they pay off of a percentage of the amount
I knew
that
how they worked,
ALC
I just
uses of
didn't-
of the building.
Fairly
It's a little
significant.
different percentage on maintenance.
Yeah, that percentage carries throughout all reimbursements.
With that, entertain a motion to accept that facilities local government reimbursement for 2017.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under correspondence, the sheriff engagement for 2015 audit. This is out of the Auditor of Public Accounts, Mike Harmon's office. You got a copy of this. This just shows you what the fee engagement will be. And I will entertain a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I want to make an announcement that National Day of Prayer is Thursday, May 5th at noon here on the courthouse square on the front lawn. So if you want to come and be with us, we'll be doing that at noon this Thursday. Old business, approve the minutes for April 19th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes, Judge.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under old business, ordinance 201603, Cone Drive, speed limit, second reading.
This would be ordinance number 2016-03, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, Commonwealth of Kentucky, in accordance with the provisions set forth in KRS 189.3905A, and based upon the request of affected citizens and after review by the Marshall County Road Superintendent, the Marshall County Fiscal Court does hereby set the speed limit at 25 miles per hour for Cone Drive located in Marshall County, Kentucky. And this would be the second reading as of today for your vote.
Went from 55 to 25, is that correct? I understand that correctly? Okay.
But it was 55 because.
Right, it wasn't
there was no-
Wasn't posted.
Right.
Yeah.
I would entertain a motion.
Make that motion, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That National Day of Prayer, what time?
Noon,
You know, we've got a 1 o'clock that day, too.
yes. Yeah, we'll have a, I forget how many kids.
No, I thought it was usually at 11, but that's fine. If y'all got something at 1, you just need to tell him to keep it short and sweet.
Keep it short, yeah. I forget how many kids are coming at 1.
60.
60.
Hey, Judge, while we're on the subject or close to it, what about Memorial Day? I know the employee that usually took care of the Memorial Day service for the county is no longer with the county, and when Justin Lamb always used to head that effort, and he wasn't here last Veterans Day, but he did it anyway. Has we made any preparation? I mean, it'll be here before we know it, but.
Yeah, he actually, reached out to me.
Oh,
and
okay,
I think
good.
he's still on the board,
Good.
but he reached out to me, so they are, he has prepared.
Got something going. I know it, you can't just do it overnight, and.
Right.
And good deal.
Yep.
He always did a good job, very good job.
Yeah, I think he's still on the board.
Good deal.
Under new business, this is the jail internal policy changes that Roger dropped off to us yesterday. Does anybody have any questions on the changes?
Yeah, those were submitted yesterday. I have reviewed those and believe they are in accordance with the law.
Okay.
Necessary changes as required by the state.
Okay.
Move that we make those changes on the advice of our county attorney.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Emily, do you want to do the ordinance?
Sure. Hopefully, this will be our last budget amendment for this fiscal year 16. Ordinance 2016-04, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the County of Marshall has received additional funds, now it be ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that Section 1, the annual budget for fiscal year 15-16 is amended to increased revenue accounts of insurance proceeds 55, 54, 41, refund from Lowe's Building Materials $18,150 and 69 cents. Secondary rural road funds for Moore's, $657,000. Sheriff's travel expenses, $108.34 was a reimbursement. ED travel expenses, $132.85 reimbursement. Commissioner's travel expenses, $189.25 reimbursement. Electrical inspections, $8,500. And OEM training restitution, $500. For a total increased revenue of $690,135.54. Those are offset in the expenditure accounts of General fund reserves, $18,150.69. Sheriff's office auto expenses, $5554.41. Sheriff's travel expenses, $108.34. ED travel expenses, $132.85. Commissioner travel expenses, $189.25. OEM training supplies, $500. Building inspection supplies, $2,400. Building inspection FICA match, $32.50. And building inspector fees, $28.50. For a total increased expenditure of $690,135.54. Section 2, the amounts added to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes.
Under new business, you want to do 05, the ordinance?
When you get a,
Oh,
Motion to approve the ordinance.
Second.
all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Now we can do it.
there'll be two steps to the budget approval. The first is approval of the standing order to pay salaries and utilities for fiscal year 16-17. Annual standing order to pre-approve certain recurring expenses pursuant to KRS 68.2753. The fiscal court may adopt an order to pre-approve the payment of monthly payroll and utility expenses. No other expenses shall be pre-approved pursuant to this subsection without written consent from the state and local finance officer. The fiscal court of Marshall County further orders upon the written consent of the state and local finance office, the following expenses be paid when due. And you have a lengthy list of account numbers and descriptions that covers salary, fringe, and travel, and a few board payments that are due in the beginning of the month.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the standing order.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries.
Ordinance 2016-05, this is the first reading of our budget summary. An ordinance relating to the annual budget and appropriations, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, Kentucky. Section 1, the following budget is adopted for fiscal years 2016-17 in the amount stated or appropriated for the purposes indicated. Budget of Marshall County fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017. Summary analysis of appropriations. Your general fund, general government, $5,927,125. Protection to persons and properties, $343,450. General health and sanitation, $162,400. Social services, $129,450. Recreation and culture, $782,050. Debt service, $81,970. Capital projects, 0. General services, $427,011. Reserves, $377,670. Fringe benefits, $388,200 for a total general fund budget of $8,619,326. Road fund, transportation, facilities, and services, 0. Roads, $2,867,423. Fringe benefits, $826,100. Total road fund, $3,693,523. Jail fund, protections to people and property, $1,603,050. Fringe benefits, $915,300. Total jail fund, $2,518,350. Grant fund, 0. Those will be amended in as received. Emergency 911 fund, protection of persons and properties, $427,500. Reserves, $65,000. Fringe benefits, $168,475 for a total of $660,975. Occupational tax administrator, general government, $115,000. Reserves, $425,460 for a total fund of $540,460. Veterans Van Fund, $6,510. ABC Fund, Administration Enforcement, $446,500. Reserves, $50,000. Fringe, $18,500, $515,000 total ABC fund budget. Building inspection fund, administrative, $114,600, fringe, $5,400 for a total building inspection fund of $120,000. Your total budget for fiscal year 17 is projected to be $16,674,144. Section 2, this ordinance shall be published in the Tribune Courier newspaper by title and summary within 30 days of adoption. Section 3, this ordinance become effective upon passage and publication. There's a notice of availability. All interested persons or organizations in Marshall County are hereby notified that a copy of the county's proposed budget in full is available for public inspection at the office of the county judge executive during normal business hours.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Under new business, there was a road petition that was submitted to the office. Jeff, have you had a chance to look at this?
Yeah.
This is a petition for discontinuance of county road maintenance of Hollinger Road. So we'll have to set a public hearing.
Yeah, the requirement is that you set the public hearing, you appoint 2 road viewers in addition to the road superintendent to view it, that the notice of this closure be published in 3 conspicuous places near the road, and it be publicized. I think there is, looking at the map, there is another adjoining property owner that hasn't signed a petition. So I would suggest that they be contacted specifically in addition to the legal requirements, because
Green on down there, or, I can't remember who.
this shows David Reed.
Yeah, but David's got a place, and then, James Green's got the next place up the river, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I knew there's one or the other, I couldn't remember.
that's what it appears on the map. So
Looks
I
like-
think
they
that
butt
would be
road.
appropriate thing to do.
Contact everybody. Okay. As far as road reviewers, I think we've used Casey Counts, Andy Lepisto, and
That's all you need for this.
that's all we need is 2. Okay. I'll let them know that they were identified. I don't see them here. Setting the public hearing. We have a date. Y'all want to choose?
Can you do it during the next meeting?
Yeah, you do it at, historically, we've done them at 11.
11 o'clock, next meeting. I will say the next meeting is Election Day, which we're going to be here.
Sure you want to set it at 11 o'clock, maybe a chance
Usually,
Miracle will be out of
just
here.
we just recess and go into the hearing and then go back if we
What
need
if it's
to.
an hour meeting or a 30-minute meeting? If we're not wrapping up the budget, we're going to talk about budget there at all? Apparently not. The treasurer's not going to be here, I wouldn't think
Do it
so.
earlier.
Just in case we get through at 10:15,
It don't matter to me. We just have to set it. It's up to y'all.
always.
Talk, speak,
Yeah.
they just need a time to be here.
You want to do it 10?
Why don't we do that?
All right.
We can always be later than that, can't we?
So, May 17th at 10 a.m., public hearing. And just so that everybody knows, that is Election Day. We will have fiscal court at 9:30. I know there was some questions regarding that. Make sure nobody gets confused. Okay. Any questions? Under new business, what I'd like to do, I've had several, well, in the past 5 months, I've had several phone calls to my office regarding roads in the county. And I know we've had Cary Landing that we've discussed. Way Avenue, and in those discussions, there was different interpretations, and what I'd like to do is get approval to put a committee together to revise the county road resolution, so that we can have some individuals take a look at it and try to put together a more comprehensive, clear. There was some confusion on some of the wording in that resolution, so I think the due diligence there is to form a committee, have them go look at the resolution, provide them with some of the concerns that some of the citizens had, and even some of our staff, and let them come back and report to us as far as maybe clearing up that resolution.
You're reviewing the requirements of,
The actual county road, to bringing in a road into the maintenance, county maintenance system.
right, just the stipulations that you have to, qualifications that you have to meet, reviewing those and making it a little more clear.
Correct.
Okay. No problem with that. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second,
All those in favor, say aye.
tell them we need to be careful.
Yeah.
It's been, in the past, there's been language in there, and they've tried to get all kinds of roads in, and I guess that was just before I came on, but it was kind of pared down so that we'd try to get roads in that deserved to be in, and, that didn't cost the county a lot of dollars, so it's been going over pretty good, so. But
And
tweaking it would probably help. I know there's been some confusion on how many houses need to be on the road and all that, so absolutely, there's nothing wrong with looking at it, but we just need to be careful with the language.
Judge, if I may, while you all are setting hearings regarding the roads, we also need to set a budget hearing for the proposed use of the county road aid funds for fiscal year 17. They could be same day as your other hearing.
The 17th?
We're meeting again the next Tuesday at the 24th for the bids, either one of those dates.
Why don't we do that, the 24th? Y'all fine with that? Okay, so May 24th, we'll set a meeting, same time as the bids, what time did we set that for?
I've got 9:30 down.
Yeah, it's 9:30. Do we want to make that 10? Or would we want to do that before, make it 9?
You're just opening a bunch of bids, so you could stop any time, I guess.
When we do that,
Your county road aid hearing typically does not take long at all.
okay, well then we'll just do it at 10. We'll put 10 on the 24th. We'll just stop during the bids and take care of that. That was for the county road aid hearing. Or meeting. Let's see, I got a motion, got a second. All those in favor on the appointment of the road resolution review committee? All those, was there any
That motion.
opposed? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried, all right. Also, with the committee appointment, I'd also like with the sanitation issues that we have with both 1 and 2, I'd like to put a committee together because I think we need to get some resident experts involved that can bring to the table insight with those issues in our sanitation district. But I'd like to have some approval from the court in forming that committee to help us look at our sanitation issues in the county.
Make that motion, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Any
Judge,
opposed?
I would certainly serve on that committee if you want.
Okay. No opposed, motion carries. Under new business, we'll move forward to the Parks Board. After recently selecting Dennis Faust to be the Parks Director, there was some discussion. One of the things we did is laid out a job description for the new Parks Director. We've talked to the board, we've talked to, obviously, we've discussed it briefly, but the director, and sitting down and giving him a job description and what the expectations are, we feel that there's some confusion as far as the structure. The Parks Board, originally, when it was formed, had a great purpose, and nothing against the Parks Board. They've done a phenomenal job, but I think moving forward, we have to look at the structure. And right now, the way it's set up, you've got the Parks Board that meets once a month. You got a Parks Director, and then you got the Fiscal Court. In there's confusion, not really confusion, but it's delay on day-to-day operations because the Parks Director comes to the Fiscal Court. It also goes to the board. And I feel that it'd probably be best if we just make that channel a lot direct, to where the Parks Director reports directly to us, almost like the road department, how Russell reports directly to us. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to dissolve the Parks Board.
I'll move that we dissolve the Parks Board as recommended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any
I mean,
discussion?
some of them have voiced that wasn't a problem. It's pretty much all the way across the board. I haven't talked to all of them.
Right. Yeah, and it's not, this is more of a structure. I mean, the Parks Board has done a great job. This is more or less just the structure of it. So, yeah, and they feel that with the right director, things are going to move forward. I know that there has been suggested if something does come up, we form a committee if there's a need out there that involves.
When during construction, that sort of thing, they were very important. It also took a lot off of the judge, actually's plate to manage, so.
They've all done a good job,
they
especially
have.
in the infancy of Miller Park, and, when they were out there meeting weekly or, sometimes more than that, and it wasn't always just the once-a-month thing, and they've all done a good job as far as helping the park get where it is now, and very appreciative of their time, the volunteer. It's a non-compensated board.
That'll
Yeah.
help clarify who Dennis answers to also.
Correct. And that is a good point, that what you said, Rick, as far as what they've done out there. I think there was a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, approved payment of the bills.
Motion to pay the bills, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Judge, I forgot one
Yes,
other
sir.
thing. About Thursday. I don't know what time I'm gonna be, I don't know if I'll even be able to get here then. Shriners, we've got 6 tons of onions being delivered to Calvert, and I've got to be there to pick up a ton and a half of them.
Is that the children or the?
Yeah, Shriners
prayer?
Hospitals for Children, yes.
I mean, this Thursday. What's,
I've got, their onions are coming in from Georgia. We have to be there to pick them up.
okay, so you won't be able to be available.
If the truck comes in like 6 o'clock that morning, there's a chance I will.
Okay,
I don't know.
I understand.
Be here if I can.
Okay.
Just as information, we discussed, had a touch base that week of July 4th. Everybody be thinking about, I really won't be planning on being away on a vacation, so.
Do we want to
Well, we can think about it, I don't know, there's been times when we would have a meeting at the end of June, that would, that take the place of that because it being the end of the fiscal year.
Well, June 31st is a Tuesday. I'm sorry, that's May 31st. Jason. I even got my glasses on.
The 28th is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's also the
We'll be
Judge
in-
Executive Commissioners Conference in Louisville.
Yeah, we'll be in Louisville that 28th.
What about,
29th and 30th.
Well, then that's, I'll be, okay. 27th? Is that close enough to the end of the year? Is that Monday?
Emily has to do the house cleaning.
yeah, that should work.
The 27th? Mm-hmm. Okay.
That will, I mean, I can do that.
So that we're gonna, June 27th is gonna replace July the 5th.
Yes.
Correct.
As discussed in our budget workshop yesterday, that's what I said will typically happen. A lot of times we'll wind up skipping that first July meeting, so it's why it's important that we have enough balance in those
Discussed,
accounts
No, we don't.
at the end of June
I don't-
We
30th.
Right.
don't
discuss.
discuss stuff like that in
Yeah.
the budget workshop.
So, so June 27th will replace July 4th, 9:30.
Who would counselor?
After yesterday, we shouldn't have to meet again till like September.
I think it was a
You
10
have
and a
a
half
problem
hour.
with 10 and a half hours of budget workshop?
Plus turkey hunting.
Yeah. 2-hour turkey hunt yesterday morning. Started wearing on me. But I'm not used to working like Bob Gold is.
That's probably true.
Just one meeting in July, right?
Yes,
That'll be at 9:30, same as normal, 9:30.
9:30.
27th.
And then July 19th will be the only meeting in July.
Johnny and Bob said they had somewhere, they're gonna be out of town then?
July 19th,
I won't be here.
you won't be here?
We're leaving for Alaska the 18th.
The 18th?
We want to,
Back for,
back it
here.
up
You'll
to
be
the
here?
12th.
Bob, you'll be here? Okay,
Jason or I, neither one would be here.
neither
Or
one?
nor Lisa.
Okay.
Where else, that, I mean, I don't, yeah, I
You
mean,
wanna-
I can do the 12th if that's,
July 12th to replace the 19th? Is that good with everybody?
I can do that.
Kind of centers it in the
Okay.
middle of the month. That
That'd be perfect. All right. July 12th, 9:30.
I won't be sure everybody knows, I didn't have to move that meeting.
That'll replace July 19th. All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Judge.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.